You know when you have an idea for a deck and you're not sure if your idea is going to make it better or worse? That's about where I'm at right now. Hello folks, Phil Gallagher, aka ThrabenU here for another Legacy video, and today I've been given sort of an interesting task. I have been asked to build a version of the Minotaur deck that has the One Ring in it. And I'm going to start by actually going to my Mox field and showing off what I've played previously. So obviously shout out to my sponsor Mox field here. So previously, the Minotaur deck has been a standstill deck list, with the idea being that you try to slip a Didgeridoo under your opponent, and then you resolve a standstill, and you can Didgeridoo it all you want, or you can use your Urza Saga to go and win the game without actually casting more spells. But I'm not sure how good the blue is. Like, of the blue, I basically like Force of Will. The ability to protect one of your Minotaurs is really cool. But otherwise, like, the standstills felt mediocre. The Shark Typhoons felt very clunky within the deck list. And a lot of times I couldn't activate it for a large amount. And you oftentimes weren't wanting to cast Ponders and Brainstorms because it was just better to funnel mana into Urza Saga. And that kind of leaves me in this awkward position where when I'm being asked to rebuild this deck in a way that can contain the One Ring, because reasons, do we actually keep the blue? And I think the answer is no. So I went back to the drawing board, and this is what I came up with. The core of the deck is going to be the same. We are still going to try to activate Didgeridoo to put in awesome Minotaurs such as Boros Battleshaper. That is still plan number 1 here. However, if we're going to fit the One Ring into the deck, I think we need to make some changes. Number 1, we need to bump up our fast mana count a little bit, and that probably also means playing at least 1 extra soul land. And number 2, we need to play some things that are going to be good off of the One Ring. And that's where I thought Fury entered the picture. It is a red card that we can pitch cast and clear the way for our Minotaurs to do a bunch of damage in combat. Now, I am also going to try out one of our good friends, a Cycler here. Unfortunately, not a Minotaur, despite having some nice tusky boys and looks like some horns and other additional spikes too. But the idea here is that this increases our red card density while allowing us to hit our land drops and still have something very reasonable that we can just cast when we get into these endgame situations. We're going to get a little bit worse game 1 versus combo, but we're going to be a little bit better versus fair decks because we actually have some very good tools to stop aggressive threats. Now, to balance this out, we are going to end up with a sideboard that is very, very, very heavily geared towards taking down combo decks because we do expect to lose game 1 to combo a decent portion of the time. The upside of playing a deck like this over the Jeskai version that I played previously is that the mana is going to be much better. We are essentially a monocolored deck that has Boros Battleshaper as well. So we will play our plateaus, but otherwise we don't traditionally expect to cast this card. And Oliphant can also go and get us our plateaus as well with the mountain cycling. We do have to up our Minotaur count ever so slightly to make up for the fact that we're not playing Brainstorms and Ponders. So Moraug is now up to a 3 of. I think I only played 1 of it last time around. And yeah, I think let's just battle and see whether or not taking the blue out of this deck is going to feel bad. I don't think I'm going to miss Standstill or Ponder or Preordain. I do think I'll miss Force of Will if we play against white decks, where a Source of Plowshares can just cleanly answer this creature. Also, shout out to my sponsor, Cool Stuff Inc. If you need paper magic cards, especially some Minotaurs, check them out and use promo code ThrabenU at Cool Stuff Inc. to save 5% on your order. Let's battle. All right. First hand is going to be a keep. I am going to have to figure out how I play it. Because I can just straight up cast a turn 2 Nahib and then like loot through some extra copies of Chromox and stuff. It could be like 1, 2, 3. And this is my turn 2 Nahib, loot through this Chromox, and then play Urza Saga afterwards. Or I can just lead on Urza Saga immediately and commit to playing a very strong artifact game. I think I'm going to give my opponent a chance to wasteland this plateau and call it a turn here. All right. Blue deck it is. What if my opponent's playing Show and Tell? Am I supposed to keep Boros Battleshaper in hand for that scenario? If I draw basically any other red card, I will put that under Chromox rather than play or imprint Boros Battleshaper. I don't think I take the called shot on Show and Tell. Alright. Battleshaper in. And we'll play our Minotaur. Alright, it's in play. Okay. Prismatic Vista, Show and Tell has become less likely. Unfortunately, white removal has become more likely. Ooh. I'm looting 2 as of right now. Assuming that he actually gets to get in there and do cool shit. Which is not 100%. Alright. Sure feels like Swords to Plowshares. Yep. I think I just cast the One Ring without playing my land drop. As weird as that is. I think I'm less likely to be dazed given the things that I have seen so far, and I want the flexibility of being able to play both of these. Force of Negation. Rough. Saga it is. So notably, I am going to just like be at the point of the game where I can... Okay. How dare you, first of all. This has been a very good string of draws for my opponent. Do I Fury? I don't think so. I think I just make the land drop and play a Chromox with no imprint and pass the turn. This gives me an Urza Saga, that token that's a 3/3, so I can reasonably block a Human Knight token if my opponent attacks, which I don't think they will. I think being defensive here matters a lot more. Or I guess technically because of Terminus. Or no, the card draw has already happened. Alright, token time. So, I will make a new token. And Didgeridoo is cool long term. Shadow Spear is much better short term. Given that I can just hardcast a bunch of my creatures at this point, I'm going to just pick up a Shadow Spear. And we'll go for a basic mountain. If something like a back to basics get involved. And we will try to become the pretty princess. We have failed. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think I just pay the 2 life to equip this token right now so that I can more cleanly play Fury next turn. But my opponent is up 2 cards from the Monarch already, which is not great for me. It's okay. Hopefully we just cast a bunch of cards that you'd play in Limited and be perfectly happy with that. Supreme Verdict is rough. And now my opponent just cantrips again off the Monarch. Alright. This is not exactly how I was intending on using this card. But again, I think I kind of just need to play it. I need to get bodies in play to take the Monarch. I am... Again, I think fine with paying the life here. This game is not a game about life total. And if I can play around some random red removal, like my opponent having a lightning bolt that they draw on this turn, I think I'm good with that. Good God, another one. Yeah, that's brutal. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I can cast this. I think I just play an Urza Saga. Or I think I just make my tokens and then Didgeridoo this in later. I do not want to sorcery speed my token because of prismatic ending specifically. Island cycle. Yeah, swords and multiple main deck supreme verdicts. Doesn't feel great for me. Not gonna lie. But we'll keep doing what we can do. Alright. So I will make my token. My opponent is responding. They're just going to fetch to play around Pithing Needle coming in. Did you see the Didgeridoo coming? I will not be equipping this turn. And I guess we're hoping like no Snapcaster Mage. Yep. Yep. Yeah, this pile of Swords to Plowshares and Sweepers is tailor-made to beat my deck as it is built. So we kind of have to hope to exhaust my opponent's resources, which normally we would have done. However, I think my opponent is now up 4 cards from the Monarch. Prismatic ending the Didgeridoo. Obviously, I'm going to respond. Go wide. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I can cast this one, but I can't cast this one. I guess I can attempt to kill Snapcaster Mage if I put in Boros Battleshaper. So I will do that. If you play a land drop and another Supreme Verdict, I will lose my mind. There's the land drop. Okay, it is a Teferi. Well, that's quite bad. Alright, Boros Battleshaper is out of the way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I have to draw a land in order to be able to cast that. Wow. That'll do. So, Construct's out of the way. Snapcaster Mage actually gets to attack. And my opponent just continues to draw cards with the Monarch. Things start looking real good if I hit another land drop. So we'll drop Sethron, which does give me 2 bodies. Give Minotaur's Menace, which is definitely relevant. Negative. Yeah, my opponent's turn 3 Monarch card won them this game, unquestionably. But I fully don't think that I can concede. I just have so many large creatures and the One Ring and stuff that I can play that could drag things back for me. That might be enough that I am willing to just accept my loss to that. I mean, Bolt's cool, but I think with Back to Basics here, it's not worth playing out because I can't Urza Saga token my opponent out. I could still play towards, like, draw Didgeridoo and another basic, but I think the game has slipped enough that it is worth conceding. All right, we will Pithing Needle, and we'll probably Blast here. I think I'm going to get rid of Shadow Spear. I think I'm always going to want Pithing Needle or Didgeridoo. Like, versus random chump blockers, like the Shadow Spear can matter. But I've got 3 cards I want to bring in, and I'm going to need the cuts somewhere. I think those cuts are additional copies of Lightning Bolt, and Lightning Bolt just becomes Fury. Yes, I'm keeping this. Is it a touch awkward? Fully. The Chrome Mox is very weird in this hand, and double Ancient Tomb with the One Ring is also a little weird. I'm not sure if I'm supposed to play a Didgeridoo on turn 1. It opens it up to Prismatic Ending. I think I'm going to. I think that is still worth the life. And it gives me a decent pivot play. See if my opponent just immediately has the Prismatic Ending for it. If they do, then Boros Battleshaper can become Chrome Mox food if I draw a basic land or another land of some kind. And then I don't have to double up on Ancient Tomb this turn, which I think is actively good. So I like both how I played that out and that my top card was a land. All right. Got the protection. We'll start drawing some cards. I'll do it immediately in case anything weird happens. You know, the Hole Breacher, Fairy Mastermind sorts of cards. And we're okay taking a little bit of damage here. Draw some cards. Hello. You're just doing that immediately? I think that immediately becomes the plan. Cast another one here. Just take another card draw, get some more protection. The protection isn't super relevant unless fourth Airlingas is involved, but I definitely don't want my opponent to become the Monarch right now. But I think this game just becomes swarm of Urza Saga tokens. Sure. Keep in mind that a Terminus could be buried 2 down here. Okay. Now it could be put even further down. Okay, nope, that is a choice of a shuffle. And just a land and pass. I'll lose some life. Sure. Let's do this. Chromox is reasonable. Let's go ahead and cast that. Another Boros Battleshaper underneath, I think. This thing innately tramples, which is cool. Let's play a new saga and call it a turn. I could land cycle to thin my deck of a land. I think this ends up being hard cast some portion of the time. It's possible I'm supposed to put this under there, though, because I am about to fetch up a Didgeridoo. It's possible that was a mistake on my end. We'll see. Sethron. Cool. So let's make my critter. Opponent is responding for Pithing Needle-based reasons. Oh shit, I just activated the wrong one. Oh, that's so awkward. That's such a bad mistake. That's so bad. That makes me so much worse versus like Supreme Verdict. Yeah, that's a major mistake. I'm going to just own that and accept the losses that I take for doing that. I don't think I draw more cards here. Right. Let's do this and attempt to punch my opponent in the teeth. Okay. Yeah, that's very frustrating. So I could have played around that and ended up like being able to put in something at the end of my opponent's turn and also Didgeridoo. Right, ending on the Didgeridoo, I will respond. I'm gonna put in the thing that produces 2 bodies here. That is a Teferi. Sure. All right, the token is going. That's fine. I don't think I activate the 1 ring here. I'll just take the 2. There's another 1 ring. It's quite nice. I'll make my token. Grab a Didgeridoo. I can give Minotaurs haste and menace. I don't think that's super relevant here. I think I just want to slip one of these in end of turn. So I think I just attack my opponent. I believe the way that I want to do this is draw here. Ooh. Not get me quite what I wanted, but I still get another redraw towards what I wanted. So play a new copy of the 1 ring. Keep this one, get a redraw towards Chromox. Did not hit. I don't think I play Pithing Needle. Pass the turn. I was greedy a little bit. Looking at play, I have double Chromox. I shouldn't have greeded there. I just probably kill my opponent in 2 attack steps, and I am working on this just being 2 attack steps in 1 turn cycle. Let's see if I just eat a verdict here. The fetch for 1. Snapcaster Mage is fine. I don't mind that at all. Ooh, it's Prismatic Ending. Are they just going for the Didgeridoo immediately? Oh, they're going for the Construct token. Sure. Alright. Fury. Fury's pretty cool right now. Yeah, let's start there. Let's Fury and pitch this and see if I can take out Snapcaster and Teferi immediately. The answer is yes. So to get Moraug to do its thing, I need to play it in the 2nd main phase, I believe, and then do the landfall thing. I could 3 mana Didgeridoo, 3 mana Menace Haste, though. Yeah, so I just want to attack once first, I believe. And then I'll play Moraug off Didgeridoo. I just want this initial 4 damage guaranteed. Alright, opponent goes to 8. So I activate Didgeridoo. I play Moraug. Oh, this trigger's actually really awkward. My opponent didn't have a thing, though, so that's good. Alright, so I'm going to get an additional combat here. And we win that one. I don't like how I played that one. I think I made a lot of different mistakes, including a few that I didn't narrate. But we are a little bit in strange territory town, so we're going to be learning a lot of things live today. I don't think any human has yet played the Minotaur, the One Ring deck. I'm thinking about Fiery Confluence as just something that deals 6 that can go to my opponent's face. I'm unsure if it's better than other things that are already in my deck. I think it's similar in value to one of these. I'm gonna get a little more threat dense here, I think. Actually, let me think about the blasts for a second. Like, are the blasts actually good? Blasting a Force of Will or similar effect is pretty good. Maybe this deck wanted Defense Grid for the fair blue matchups. That game definitely showcased the difference between my opponent having the Monarch and not, though. Like, holy cow. Okay, I think this hand is probably fine. And here we're going to see this used as an actual cantrip. So do I play Didgeridoo on 1? Given that I just drew a second one, I am fine with that. And we'll treat this first one as Didgeridoo bait, and we'll play the second one probably when I am on 4 mana. I think Oliphant is going to be getting me basic mountains, since I know that my opponent is playing back to basics. Alright. Prismatic ending or not? Seems like yes. Alright, there is the prismatic ending. Do I give my opponent a chance to answer the other Didgeridoo? I think I don't. I think the better question is whether or not I double cycle Oliphant this turn and just take 2. Like, that very well may be worth it. It's just a little weird because I am the One Ring deck. Okay. Let's see what they find. I'm very glad that that wasn't 4th Airlingas. I think I'm, especially now that the One Ring is temporarily off, I think I am double mountain cycling. Get a basic mountain with 1. I guess I'll get a plateau with a second one. So let's attempt to Didgeridoo here. It eats Force of Will, which is not great for me, because I don't have another good play this turn now. I can Fury away the Narset, but that 2-for-1 does not feel good for me. I'd rather my opponent draw another card with it, and then I take out, like, a Snapcaster Mage alongside this. Like, I can just hard cast that Fury next turn. Ooh. Yeah, so in theory, I can now Fury, kill Jace, and Narset after Narset minuses, but this does not deal damage to Planeswalkers anymore. Just throwing it out there. That's not a thing. Pitch cast the Fury or hard cast the Fury. If I hard cast the Fury and it gets countered, that's pretty much game over. But I don't think this is good enough to Force of Will. Yeah, I think it is hard cast the Fury. But it's real bad for me if my opponent has the Force of Will to back this up. It has to be Force of Will. It can't be Force of Negation. Oh, this feels like a moment of sadness for my opponent. It is not the moment of sadness. Okay. I think we were basically losing the game every time they had the Force of Will. Like, if I play the Nahib first, they let it resolve, they can just Jace minus it. I am happy with my line, because I don't think this ever gets Force of Willed, especially since I know that my opponent's draw was to Fairy. We're going to need, like, a Fury or a Red Elemental Blast or something like that off top. We're dead. GG. That beats us. Unquestionably. Like, I'm already at 10 from Ancient Tomb. I mean, I'll play along for a minute, but like, Jace minus is active. My opponent has 6 damage in play beyond that. It's not happening. Oh. We are confident enough that we do not even need to Jace minus. That's a disaster for me. Alright. Just gonna do it again. Make me literally dead to human knights. Yeah. 2. Yeah. I block 1 out of spite. And am dead. Alright. We are bad versus 4th Airlingas. Alright, I've got a bit of a tough opening hand here. I think I'm going to err on the side of keeping this. I am keeping this not assuming that Urza Saga tokens will win me this game, but hoping that Urza Saga on turn 1, finding me Didgeridoo, is going to be good enough to win this game. Unfortunately, against Doomsday, my Urza Saga tokens are probably not going to come down fast enough. My opponent gets to presumably cast the Doomsday this turn. Yep, there's Cabal Ritual into Doomsday, and I will probably die on their next turn before getting to attack with an Urza Saga token at all. So this is a hand that would have been great versus a slower controlling deck, but again, most of the time we're going to be very bad game 1 versus combo. Alright, so my opponent is on a personal tutor build. Nothing too spicy here. I'm going to play Ancient Tomb and pass. Like, if they see Urza Saga on turn 1, like, they 100% know that Ancient Tomb is in my deck. That's not giving any additional information. And maybe they play it around a Chalice of the Void or something like that. Again, I do fully expect that I am dead here. There is Thassa's Oracle, winning my opponent the game on turn 3. So in bad news, I don't have a lot for this matchup. Mindbreak Trap is of medium caliber because a lot of times it won't hit the Doomsday. I can surgically extract to shuffle a Doomsday pile and buy myself a turn, but this is generally speaking going to be a pretty bad matchup. Fury is not going to do a lot here. It's going to get me a couple pieces of interaction. Fiery Confluence is not bad. Am I going to just play Mindbreak Trap anyway? Do not need Shadow Spear. Probably go down one of those, and now it's just a question of, like, is Mindbreak Trap, which is extremely narrow, better than other things that exist? I think I'm going to say no for this game that I'm on the play, and yes for the game that I'm on the draw. Turn 1, Didgeridoo, cycle this. Turn 2, put in Moraug. Turn 3, maybe kill my opponent if I draw a land? Like Moraug, attack for 6, play land, Moraug, attack for 13. That probably beats Doomsday. I will need another land for landfall purposes. Get 2 draws for that land. I think this is fine. Is it awkward? Yes. Yes, it is. But our heavy-hitting Didgeridoo is in play. Pass turn. Alright. I just gonna get turn 1? Yeah, that is Cabal Ritual into Doomsday on turn 1. Alright, they are at 9. That is my land drop. So, if I get another turn, my opponent is dead. I shouldn't get another turn. Yeah, so it's going to be an LED consider pile. Yep. So that cracks LED for triple blue. There's the Oracle. 2 cards left. Yeah, that kills me. I had the turn 3. They had the turn 2. Alright, this hand doesn't really do anything quick. I think I'm going to mulligan this one. I mean, this hand has a plan. The plan is activate Urza Saga a bunch of times. This is maybe not what I want to be doing, but it feels like what I am doing. I think I keep all of my lands, and I think I keep the ring over Sethron or one of the bonus lands. Alright, we just lead with Lightning Bolt up. Probably not just sending Lightning Bolt upstairs, probably hoping to use this to pick off a small creature of some kind. Alright. I hope we don't get mooned. Alright, it is probably an initiative creature. Archon of Emeria is fine. Actually, I should move to my opponent's end of turn before doing this in case they have another Chrome Mox that they would want to play. I don't think they would. But yeah. Alright. So we've got Urza Saga. And we drew an artifact to play. Somewhat awkwardly, if my opponent has another Archon of Emeria and they were to play this, this plateau would enter tapped. And then I wouldn't be able to activate Urza Saga next turn. It is a Seasoned Dungeoneer instead, which is quite good. My opponent's going to be pretty far ahead as of next turn. Oh, really? That intentional, or was that just a mistake? Unclear. I'll do this. Seems weird to me that they would want to hold single red up. If they have another soul land in hand already, it's not a mistake. And they need like red, white plus soul land. I guess red, white plus soul land is accomplished the same way next turn, but this way. Yeah, okay. That's a Fable. All right, I take some damage. Okay, yeah, there's the other soul land. Okay. I am maybe in an okay position. I really, 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 really needed a Mox card there. Like, quite badly. Am I just playing the One Ring this turn? I may be just playing the One Ring this turn. Yeah, I'm going to do that. I don't get to do it the way that I wanted. But I think I'm doing it. All right, is this Saga? I don't think this is Saga. I think this is more actual lands. I think I'm going to have stuff to do with my mana. This brings this construct up to a 4/4. Draw my card. That's a good one. That's a really good one. So I'll bash in. My opponent can chump block if they want. Otherwise, I take the initiative and hold it for a turn cycle. Okay, they are going to chump. Yeah. Boros Battleshaper does disgusting things versus an initiative deck. Okay, opponent is going for Goad. I am not sure about that choice. I think Trap is very appealing with the One Ring in play. Okay, sure. Like, I'm just going to Boros Battleshaper so the Seasoned Dungeoneer can't block. Right, I lose my life. I'm hoping to draw a Soul Land. Another Didgeridoo. Well, let's try to find the Soul Land here. Okay, Mox accomplishes the same thing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 mana. Is Didgeridoo, activate, and equip Shadow Spear. The Mox, imprint a Boros Battleshaper. Do I play Urza Saga now? Probably still no. Alright, we Didgeridoo it. I Boros Battleshaper. I equip Shadow Spear on the Construct token. I go to combat. Must attack or block. Goblin Shaman. Cannot attack or block. Seasoned Dungeoneer. Send in the Construct token. Oh, cool. My opponent got into this deck because of me. I love hearing that. Alright, so I deal some damage to my opponent. I get a mountain, and now Boros Battleshaper can keep my opponent from attacking with this Seasoned Dungeoneer this turn. And we also just have a very decent sized Shadow Spear that is going to continue to grow. So yeah, we'll see how this goes. We're a little afraid of something like a Solitude in particular, but my opponent does not have white showing as of right now. There's also some weird lines where I force the Seasoned Dungeoneer to attack and attempt to get lethal next turn. I think I just probably end up with lethal next turn anyway. Maybe that's not true. I don't know, I Forge. Okay. Must attack or block, none. Cannot attack or block, Seasoned Dungeoneer. My opponent just realized that it is each combat step that happens. Yeah, it is rough. And now, like, Fury's additional copies of the One Ring and such are all going to become very strong. Touch the Spirit Realm. Yeah, so that could have been done pre-combat to great effect. Taking the Boros Battleshaper out of play is very good here, especially since I have one under Mox already. All right. Do I Forge? If I Forge, I have an 8/8 lifelinker that is attacking. And Trap kills my opponent the next turn. I think this is a time where I do something weird. I think this is a time where I put the initiative trigger on bottom and actually draw with the One Ring in response to this trigger. It costs me more life, but lets me make a more informed decision about this turn. Okay. So, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 mana. 6 mana once I play something. So I can Didgeridoo, activate Sethron, So my Minotaurs get haste. I don't have enough additional mana to play Didgeridoo and grow this an additional time. If I find another Boros Battleshaper or another ring, I'm in incredible shape. I think I'm going to scry. Actually, is Ancient Tomb good? 2, 4, 6, 7 mana then, which is enough to play Didgeridoo, turning my construct into a 7/7. That's actually pretty reasonable. Yeah, actually. Okay. All right. So we Ancient Tomb. Play Didgeridoo. Activate Didgeridoo. Putting Sethron into play. Activate Sethron's ability. And now those Minotaurs have Trample and Haste. Or sorry, Menace and Haste. Making my attack step very strong. Okay. That was game 1. We won game 1. I'm super happy to see that. All right. Fury is great. I don't think I'm interested in any of this other stuff. For the game that I'm on the draw, it would not be crazy to Mindbreak Trap so that I can get an initiative creature that's played off of like Lotus Petal and Chrome Mox on turn 1. The game where I'm on the draw is like very legitimately tough. I might do that. My opponent is just a faster version of what I'm doing in many ways. Like I can board these out because like the opening hand just matters so much in this matchup. So I don't know that like I have time to cycle this and have these be my 4. And then when I'm on the play, I don't mind Break Trap. And instead I like keep some of these or some Fiery Confluences. All right. I think my opponent wins that one if they reread Boros Battleshaper, though. I think if they play that card pre-combat, I'm in trouble. This is a turn 2 copy of the One Ring. That's fine. I don't think it's good enough to just keep the hand based on the... Ooh, okay. Cheeky. Very cheeky. I'm going to believe. I'm going to believe, YouTube. I'm going to believe in this Mind Break Trap. Ancient Tomb. Storm is 1. Storm is 2. Mind Break Trap does not counter that. Dreams Crushed. I could counter that. I'm not going to. So I'm going to Fury this creature. My opponent's mana may be in a tough situation, and they just like locked themselves out of future artifact mana. I think I pitched Boros Battleshaper and play Plateau. No, play Ancient Tomb. Yeah. Got Archon to think about. So we are hoping to mana screw my opponent here, just fully. Them putting Chalice on 0 probably means that my Mindbreak Trap doesn't get to do cool stuff anymore. Interestingly, if they would have just played the Chalice on 0 first, I would have gotten them. Ha 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 ha. Nice. So now we are hoping to just hit natural land drops for a couple of turns, play a Fury that mops up my opponent's creatures, and attack for 6 3 times and kill my opponent. We have a real plan. It does require me getting a little bit lucky, but hopefully that's fine. Sure. Got Fury coming next turn. I don't know that my opponent was supposed to play that Chalice on 0. Like, I think Chalice on 1 stopping my Minotaur nonsense is important, and I think with their mana, the way that it looks, if the reflection of, if the Fable token eats a removal spell like it did, they're in trouble. Awkward timing. Now, something like a Solitude can still happen and swing this game in favor of my opponent. But again, I have a 3-turn clock while my opponent has no ability to cast spells other than Chalice of the Void. Okay, it's a game again. That's fine. And this is why I played out my non-basic lands first, just by the way. Second Mindbreak Trap. Not what I'm going for. Crash in with Fury. Yeah, if these were Oliphants right now, I would just be casting a thick creature. One's definitely losable if my opponent hits another land drop, I think. Another Archon. That's fine. Why are both of those being held back? I guess playing around a removal spell on one is reasonable. But this does not double block well, because I double strike kill one of these, and then I just have enough toughness remaining to not be dead. Alright, send them. Okay. Yep, they are fully committing to the chump here. Nahib has trample. This is a bad spot for my opponent, especially considering that Ancient Tomb is their mana source. Alright, my opponent's not conceding, so they may have a Solitude. A Solitude would keep them alive. Ooh. Alright, send them. Show me what you got. Oh, okay, I guess they are going to 1. They are not technically dead. Oh? Alright, they're just showing themselves the door. Yeah, that's perfectly respectable. GG's. Alright. Opening hand looks pretty reasonable. We are going to be didgeridooing it pretty quickly. We'll make a Southron on turn 2 and just kind of see what happens from there. With this hand, we're... My opponent is having fun with what I'm doing. Oh no. Alright. So my opponent is doing something... Oh! My didgeridoo, though. With liquid metal coating coming down next turn, I think we're stone cold dead, folks. Like, I have 3 mana this turn, I can't didgeridoo. Yeah. Fuck, Yep. That was rough. So, Mindbreak Traps are reasonable here, Fiery Confluence is reasonable, Pithing Needle is reasonable. I can also Grafdigger's Cage to stop Mystic Forge nonsense. I conceptually played Oliphants to replace Ponders. This has been my go-to card to cut during sideboarding. I still think I play Didgeridoo, despite the fact that my opponent is a Karn deck. I think that's just still happening. Man, Karn's good against this deck. Alright. This is 5. This is 7. Lightning Bolts are of limited utility. I'm going to pull another Fury in because that's a thing that I can just hard cast at the end of the day. This hand doesn't do anything. Like, it has a defensive Mindbreak Trap, but this doesn't win the game. Nervous noises. Do I keep this on 6? Something like this, and just, like, have the ability to Mindbreak Trap my opponent's first business card that they play? And then Didgeridoo, or the One Ring, or Nahib, or Urza Saga all make this hand strong. Let's say that that's fine. The One Ring on turn 2 is live if I keep this Chrome Mox, but I think I'm supposed to just pitch the Chrome Mox. I don't know. Nahib is also a thing. What other land? Pitch this. Yeah. I'm down for that. Alright. Let's see how bad this turn is for me. Oh, not bad. That's a Sethron, which is not currently playable. I'll need to spike another land. That's the upside of keeping the mountain over the second Boros Battleshaper. Alright, that is just the One Ring. And my opponent did not have the vomit a bunch of stuff, get Mindbreak Trap to hand. Okay, well. 2 can play at that game. Boros Battleshaper. Unfortunately, my opponent is much better at playing the Mindbreak Trap game. Or sorry, the One Ring game. Missed my land drop there. Not great. The good news is I will almost certainly get to Mindbreak Trap something this turn. The bad news is a lot of the other stuff associated with my current situation. And the fact that, like, a Karn is so very good for my opponent. Okay. Storm is 1. Storm is 2. I guess I draw a bunch more cards. I can now Mindbreak Trap a spell that I believe is relevant. That's not it. Yep. Yeah, also not it. But I imagine my opponent just wins through what I have going on here. Like, I get the Mind Break Trap as insurance versus the first piece of, like, Karn or Mystic Forge quality. Well, my opponent's got 21 cards in hand. Like, you know, I'm not going to pull the trigger on that. And at this point, I'm going to update you on relevant plays. All right, so my opponent is now casting a Karn. That's the sort of thing that I do not want to hit play, so I will Mind Break Trap that. Opponent has 6 cards remaining in deck. I imagine they can just play another win condition, though. Yeah, it is a secondary Karn. At which point, most of my primary stuff is shut off, and I imagine my opponent just has a Walking Ballista that will kill me. And they do, and I will unfortunately concede. Okay, so with this hand, I can play Urza Saga on turn 1, and Chrome Mox imprinting Lightning Bolt. On turn 1, I can play Shadow Spear, cycle Oliphant, or a Mountain, and activate Urza Saga on turn 2 and move towards Boros Battleshaper off Didgeridoo. And that sounds good to me. So, Chrome Mox. And I believe it is this one. Imprint Lightning Bolt, Urza Saga, Shadow Spear. I'm not going to cycle at sorcery speed. That opens me up to... Doing it this way opens me up to Stifle, but then won't let my opponent randomly, like, reanimate my Oliphant on turn 1. Tropical Island Voltaic Key. What does that mean? It doesn't super matter what it means. Because, like, I'm locked into my lines for the next 2 turns in all likelihood. Are you untapping the One Ring? Is that an Urza Saga tutor target? I need a little more information here. Okay. Oh, we are fully in the spice category here with paradoxical outcome. Sure. This is probably some sort of, like, paradoxical outcome, Echo of Eons style deck. I hope it's not a Karn deck. That will shit on what I'm doing pretty quickly. That's a paradoxical outcome for 5. Alright. Opponent has 10 cards. Well, like, they can redeploy their mana. At least some of it. Chrome Mox is a little awkward in that it costs a card, but... Okay. Yeah, they're still going to have to discard here. Alright. Do this. Yeah, they discard an Echo of Eons. Got it. Is it more important for me to put in a Minotaur in this turn cycle, or to make another Urza Saga token? I think onboard damage is fine. My opponent is going to draw me 7, a decent portion of the time anyway. Supposed to Chrome Mox? Chrome Mox so that I can Lightning Bolt my opponent before I lose this Lightning Bolt. I just have a 2-turn clock with constructs anyway. Yeah, I like that. I'll imprint the least castable of these. I'll bash my opponent for 5, which puts them to 12, and then Lightning Bolt plus 10 onboard damage is just lethal next turn. We'll see. My opponent can probably do some disgusting things this turn. Like, I know they have a lot of mana with all of those Voltaic Key effects. And just in case anyone asks, the Pithing Needle is in the sideboard. Alright. I can't really play Null Rod in this deck. Chain of Vapor on my Chrome Mox. I will respond by floating a mana. I do not believe that I want to bounce any of your stuff. It's just going to build Storm. Like, replaying Basalt Monolith is just mana neutral, for example. Lightning Bolt your face. You're at 9. That is lethal when I replay Chrome Mox. And hands off the buttons, we're F6'd. Whatever you can do is whatever you can do here. So 5, 6, 7 total mana, potentially 8 mana. That is imprinting an Echo. And that is the Echo from Graveyard. I do have an artifact, so I do have lethal next turn. My opponent needs to kill me here. They've got 5 starting mana, which is a decent amount, and they can potentially just Echo again. Alright, that's a very large PO. So my opponent is about to replay a bunch of stuff. And we're basically going to be wondering, you know, what comes after this pile of artifact rocks. My opponent needs another payoff spell. And it has to be something that produces a win now. Storm's 18. So, you know, if my opponent has a storm spell or they have a payoff, like, they probably win. If they don't, they're dead. The One Ring's real good. Alright, I'll update you when my opponent kills me if they do, because they can now start untapping the One Ring, drawing a whole bunch of cards. I guess they're kind of bottlenecked on mana. Oh, well, that helps. Chain of Vapor on a Manifold Key. And they're gonna copy it, I guess. They are all in on winning the game this turn. I think after bouncing that many permanents. Okay, so my opponent has played out their hand. They're an Echo in graveyard. There's not an Echo in graveyard. So now they have to untap the One Ring in an attempt to go further. And they can untap it a couple of times, so they probably will. This is my opponent's last on-board activation of the One Ring. Now there's another. Alright, there's another paradoxical outcome. I'm gonna go watch TikTok for a while. Alright, my opponent has every card in their deck except one. Do they have a win condition? Alright, there's a Thassa's Oracle. Alright, so we've got Pithing Needle. Grafdigger's Cage for Echo is probably enough. Pyroblast, Red Elemental Blasts are fine. I have a weird assortment of things that I can board in. So let's kind of work backwards here. I do not want Shadow Spear. Probably don't want Lightning Bolt. I probably don't want or need all of these. And Fury is pretty medium. Like, Fury is an attacker in this matchup. That's it. So this is probably too many cards, but just like, how many are we working with here? X minus 2. Okay. So are the ley lines good? Like, is attacking on that front what I want to do? I have some ability to mess with the graveyard and some ability to mess with artifacts, but I'm not particularly great at anything. Ley lines can still be imprinted under Chrome Mox if I draw them later on. So there's that. The ley lines just don't fight the whole, like, PO side of the deck at all, or like the One Ring stuff. Maybe I'll play like 2 to round out the deck list, because I am not in love with any of this stuff, but it's very awkward to play 2 ley lines. Maybe that's awkward enough that I just don't mess with this and just play 2 Lightning Bolts or 2 Oliphants. I don't know, if I like Pithing Needle the One Ring and have Leyline or something, that's reasonable. Okay, what do I cut? I could cut a couple of One Rings. They don't actually stop me from losing. Yeah, just not a fan. I mean, yeah. So, graveyard power has been decreased. Get to throw Didgeridoo into play immediately. I have Mindbreak Trap to further slow my opponent down. And I can be looking at a Minotaur as early as turn 2. Yep. Storm is 2. Storm is 3. I'm not going to take that one. Ancient Tomb. Yep. Do this and pass. Storm is 1. That's all they've got. Take 2. Put in a Hebe into play. And we're hoping to just crash in for 5 with that and loot through some of the bad cards in my hand. Bam. Alright, we did the 5. This is any number, right? Do I get rid of Mindbreak Trap at this point? Let's say yes. Ooh. It's very awkward that I drew my own the One Ring when I want to probably Pithing Needle the One Ring. But, you know, here we are. We'll cast this. I may be supposed to take 2 off the Ancient Tomb, depending on what I draw here. It's just another mountain. I'm going to play that. I will go ahead and cast the Pithing Needle. I'll name the onboard Voltaic Key. And pass the turn. It's possible that I should keep some of these medium cards in my hand. What is this? End of turn PO. I mean, I'll counter that. Anyway, finishing the thought, it's possible that I'm supposed to keep some of the medium cards to just loot away to this. Okay. Yep. Yeah, that's why this whole situation is awkward, because this is the card that I want to Pithing Needle in this matchup. Alright, I lose some life. Moraug. Well, that's real good. That means my opponent's dead on the following turn. Let's try to find something that buys me a turn here. And this is combat damage, right? Which I don't actually do. Yeah, I'll keep this to double activate Didgeridoo and call it a turn. Yeah, drawing my own One Ring so that I don't Pithing Needle the One Ring might end up in me losing this one. We'll see. All right. Opponent has 5 cards. Voltaic Keys are off for untaps. Sure. That's rough. Okay, they kept this one with more counters. Sure. I'm still just double activating this here, I think. I just want to have these in play so that I can use my One Ring mana for other stuff. I think that's worth it. All right. Draw some cards. So I can force a block with this Urza Saga Construct token if I want it dead. I don't think it matters. No, it does. Yeah, I can kill it with Moraug. And then Manifold Key won't end up randomly killing me. Okay. Must block. Ship in with this, and it trades with this token. I have Didgeridoo, so I just get another one. Yep. Okay, so I have a secondary combat. Okay, so I can do that in the first main phase. I don't care about this. All right, and then I'll Didgeridoo in that other stuff in a minute. All right, my opponent's down to 8. I guess for Pithing Needle purposes, I'm supposed to activate Didgeridoo right now. Maybe, I don't know, maybe that's wrong. Because then I don't have a red Elemental Blast up if my opponent wheels. We'll see what my opponent can do. Voltaic Keys are off. Manifold Keys still live. Yeah, that was expected. Opponent has played a 3rd copy of the One Ring, meaning combat is off the table yet again. Alright. I need to find something. That qualifies as a something. Do I draw these cards now? I think I draw these cards now. Generally speaking, this stuff was not good. I will play a Saga. Oh yes, extra combats. Very much appreciate them, Moraug. Got 4 mana here. That's a Didgeridoo activation. I don't know, do I want to hold up some stuff for Mindbreak Trap in addition to that? Or sorry, for a red Elemental Blast that I randomly draw, maybe. Second Didgeridoo probably doesn't matter. Yeah, let's call that good. Alright, so I click through both my combat steps. My opponent goes to 4. They are dead to their One Ring next turn. They are dead to onboard combat stuff next turn. I have a piece of interaction. I don't know that that'll be enough. Storm is 1. Storm is 2. Can't counter that one. Mindbreak Trap is now on for future spells. 5, 6 more draws. So a Manifold Key is now on the stack. I could spring on this so my opponent doesn't get to do the One Ring again. And I think that is worth it. So let's take that out. My opponent is a Force of Will deck. This could be countered on my end. It is not. God damn it. I guess they're still just dead to, or no, they can keep this One Ring now, and they're not dead to it. Yep. Sure. Alright, looks like my opponent has fizzled for now. Might end up dying to my own copy of the One Ring. That is very much a thing that could occur. I just need to find another copy of the One Ring, and I'm fine. I get a lot of draws for that to happen, but I could miss. Alright, 5 looks at the One Ring. Miss on all of them. I guess I boarded 2 out, so that wasn't just 100% guaranteed anyway. Yeah, they have protection from everything. And this shouldn't trigger. I guess we do the does Magic Online work as intended check. And turn my creature sideways. See if Nahib triggers. Again, it shouldn't. Yeah, and I die to my own copy of the One Ring. That is a very frustrating loss. Yeah, that's a 1-4 league. Alright, so obviously that league didn't go the best, but I think our problem is against the same general things. Like, my deck is not good against artifact decks, and that's very clear. Because I am a Chrome Mox, Shadowspear, Didgeridoo, One Ring deck, I can't play my own Null Rods or equivalent, which could come down off Ancient Tombs and do a lot of damage to those decks. And I also can't be a Meltdown deck, which means that I have to go to things like Fiery Confluence that are going to be less effective. And Mindbreak Trap is of medium reliability versus artifact-based decks. I felt okay versus control decks. I was half a turn cycle too slow versus Doomsday. Ultimately, I don't know that this deck was significantly worse than the existing blue version. I don't know that we have strong reason to be playing the One Ring. It's not like I'm using it to like take initiative and then hold initiative and I just get a huge amount of value out of it that way. It's just sort of like my plan B. And I don't know, like, maybe you're just supposed to jam more threats into this deck list. The deck was reasonable. I felt like I was playing Magic most of my rounds except against the like artifact decks where like Karn shut me down hard, and I don't have hate that works to that same degree versus my opponent. But Boros Battleshaper absolutely slaps once it gets into play. It dominated versus the initiative. Moraug is a combat master and does good stuff. Ultimately, though, like when you're registering Didgeridoo in a league, like you're there to have a good time, and this was still largely enjoyable. Although, like, playing against the non-deterministic win, slow, PO, Paradox Engine decks is just, like, not fun, generally speaking. Yeah, let me know down in the comments below what you think of, like, this largely mono-red build versus the Jeskai build that we were running before. And if you end up wanting any cards for this, check out Cool Stuff Inc. and use promo code ThrabenU to save 5% on your order. Folks, I hope you have a wonderful rest of the day. See ya!